one as soon as it goes. We are live, just so you know.
So I know. It's so weird to not like see.
Don't do anything inappropriate now.
I will endeavor to try.
Yeah, none of the sir.
I know, right? All the fun stuff is off the table now.
Exactly. All right, let me.
I know, right?
All right, there we go. I just muted it.
Okay, cool.
Hi, everyone. I don't see anybody yet, but it takes. Also, I forgot to tell you, there's a little bit of a delay because we're on StreamYard. Just a little bit of a delay, and you can hear me, can't you? Yes. I mean, you're hearing me back.
Mm-hmm.
Like no, that's not what I mean.
No.
Like a reverb.
Two of you. There's just one.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So another thing, you might not see the chat. Do you have StreamYard yourself? Did you download?
No.
Okay. So you're probably going to have to open up another tab.
Okay.
So that you can see the chat as everyone's chatting.
Got you.
You're not going to see it on your end with this.
That makes
sense. I will send you a link if you'd like.
Yes.
Hi, Johnny. Hi, Queen of Owls. There we go. Oh, you probably can't see that. You can probably see the private chat. Maybe. Can you see that at all?
Did you send something via like
private chat?
Facebook. Oh, look at that nifty little thing right there.
Right. You can click on that and that'll take you to the other one where you can open it up and see people. Hi, Artistry of Tarot. Honey, I can't remember. Did you tell me what your name was?
Me?
I gotta write it down. Because I know I just started watching you and I don't remember what your name is. If you care to share your name, that is. I don't want to just force you to share your name. Mendy. Okay. Hi, Mendy. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. We'll let people roll in a little bit. We've got a few people watching. All righty. Are you able to see it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
cool.
So funny.
So are you drinking anything good?
No, just water because I'm at work still. So I was like, I'll just.
Yep, that's what I got too. Rusty water, right?
Yup.
Hey, Sonia, how you doing, honey? Did you mean to put Ashkey, Michelle?
I did not mean to put Ashkey, Michelle, but I'm not surprised. Look at that. It does it all the time. I do that all the time. Not surprised.
I'm like, is there like a nickname that I'm not aware of or what?
No, just me and my typos.
I got you.
Oh.
All right. So we're just going to get started. As people roll in, they'll catch up, okay? The first couple are just really simple questions anyways, like, and this probably seems like a very obvious question, but what got you started with your name, your YouTube?
Yeah. So originally my name was Ashley Adulting, right? And that was kind of just because it sounded cute and I really didn't want anyone to steal it from me. Which sounds kind of silly, but I wanted to originally focus my YouTube channel when I first started thinking about making one on like getting out of debt, which, we talked about. I have a lot of debt, have had a lot of debt. This is not my first time getting out of debt. So I have a lot of tricks up my sleeve on that kind of thing. And I had decided that I wanted to help other people out with learning how to do that themselves with upping their credit score. My parents didn't know anything about it. My parents filed for bankruptcy like twice, and I just didn't live in a a situation where that kind of idea of financial prosperity was fostered. So I really wanted to share like small tidbits and insight and just like give people information. And I was dealing with, student kind of stuff, FAFSA, all that kind of thing. And there were students around me that like did not know anything about it. They'd never been to the financial aid office. I was like, what are you doing? And so I wanted to make sure that other people got that kind of information. And I'm like kind of the sex talk friend, like people come to me for that kind of thing. And so there was like a lot of things that I wanted to encompass in what the channel was going to be about. So Ashley Adulting kind of just sounded like it fit well. But I wound up actually not really talking about that kind of stuff too much, especially in the beginning, because I just re-entered into my journey with witchcraft. And so it was like, okay, well, this is kind of what I'm immersed in, and this is kind of what I'd like to talk about and talk about at all. So that's where it originally started. And then Ashley Michele, that's just my name. So I was like, well, we're just gonna change it. And my name is actually Ashley Michele Lynn. So the L for Ashley Michele, it's LX now. And I do little X's on my signatures. I write Ash and then it's an X. So it was just a combination of words and letters.
That works. And I'm actually going to, whoops, excellent. I put the wrong link. We're already in there. I'm going to actually put the link to your link tree.
Yes.
They rejected my own link.
RIP.
Let me go into the other one and try it. There. I can't believe they just rejected me putting a link in my own.
I'm not surprised though, honestly.
Unbelievable. So how long have you been on YouTube? When did you start your first one?
I've only been on YouTube for like 2 years. I started in December, so it'll be 3 years this coming December.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. And so what is the direction going forward that you envision for your channel?
So going forward, I just like to talk, I've realized. So, it's kind of going to be, I've thought about like naming it a lifestyle channel, but I still really focus on like intersectionality and like witchcraft in general. And because like I claim the word witch as my practice, I feel like I can't like really take witchcraft out of it. So I don't know. It's going to be pretty much just the same stuff that I'm already doing. I really want to do more formatted stuff, but I'm not sure how good I am at doing formatted things. I always try to do it very formatted, but I'm like, nah, I'm just going to like rant now. And I spit things out. So, it should stay pretty relatively the same, where I just talk about things that are interesting to me and any community that I'm in.
Gotcha. Okay. And so how would you label your spiritual path then? A witch?
Yeah, definitely.
More to it.
I really don't think that there is a lot more to it. It's very witchy and very Ashley. Yeah, it doesn't, I grew up in a Muslim household and I have a lot of heavy influence from Islam and some Catholicism, because my grandparents were Catholics and they raised me for a while. And that kind of very ritualistic piece of religion that both of those share is pretty heavy ingrained in my ideas of what my spirituality looks like. And other than that, like I don't celebrate or I don't practice Ramadan in the traditional way that like Muslims do, but I still give up something kind of like for Lent and stuff like that. I give up things for certain periods of time to kind of almost pay homage to like those same ideas, without necessarily still being in the religion.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that you're like an eclectic witch? You pull from different...
Definitely. Yeah, definitely eclectic.
So do you use divination? And if so, what types do you use?
Yes, I love tarot tremendously. And I do regular traditional tarot, and I also have this, it's called a Gong Hee Fat Choi board. And it's a Chinese tarot that my like three greats, yes, great grandmother used. And so it's not obviously the same board, but it's the same company, the same like style and everything. When she came to America, that's like all it was that she could find. And so and it was similar enough to her own practice. So she used that, and then it got passed down to my grandmother, and she gave me her board. And so I use that sometimes. I've never shown it on my channel, but it is one of the things I'm supposed to like show. But it's so huge. It takes up like a desk, and you use a regular playing deck, and you can use that to do the divination. So sometimes I'll do that and I'll pull that out. Yeah.
I would love to see a video on that.
Yeah, I will definitely.
Really cool.
It's on my list, but I will definitely bump it up. I just been having a hard time trying to figure out how to show it all, because it's a pretty big board.
Is it like a spirit board as well? I mean, does it have like lettering on it, like like a pendulum? Or
Not really.
Like cards on it?
So you lay the cards on it within the house of whatever that card represents. But the cards, it's like, I mean, probably 5 across, and then it goes down. So it's got a pretty hefty amount. I think you use the whole deck of cards, I want to say. Wow. But maybe you don't. Maybe you use like half of it by the time you filled it up. And each placement where you put the cards has a pattern. So it looks like a tarot card almost. It'll be like House of the Sun, House of Life, House of Death, whatever. And then you put your playing cards on top of that.
That's pretty cool. I've never heard of one of those. I would definitely love to see that.
Yeah, I will make sure that I pull that out, that I make it.
Very cool. Thank you. Do you have a website?
No, I don't. My link tree is pretty much the easiest way to find me. Like, I have thought about making a website, but I don't know that I would maintain it in any sort of way. So I just, Twitter, Instagram are my 2 main communicators.
Oh, and it says, I see purchase a reading. So how do they purchase a reading?
I do have an Etsy shop that I've opened up, so it can go through Etsy, or I take requests over DMs and stuff like that too.
And you also have a Patreon as well.
Yes,
correct?
I do have a Patreon on there. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. So do you know what your tarot birth cards are?
I know that the Wheel of Fortune is one of them. I don't remember what the other one is. I think that sometimes, depending on what generator I get 2 different. The Sun, maybe, is the other one. I know.
What is your life path, honey? Your life path number.
I don't believe it, but everything that I look that up on says 1. I refuse to believe that this is my first life, because I'm so tired, and I'm just like, why I'm not shiny and new. What? But this is supposed to be my first life. So
the Magician and
okay,
and then the Wheel of Fortune would be your.
Okay, cool. So I was half right. I knew one of them.
And yeah, that's it. Okay, I was thinking, is that the one that's got 3? But no, it's not.
Oh no, it's not.
So No, some of them actually have 3, but it's rare.
Oh,
It's
okay.
rare. But I was thinking with 1 and then 10, is there another one? But no, it's not. It's the magician and the wheel. So
Gotcha.
that's pretty cool. You got all the tools, girl. We all do, but it's just emphasizing that you do.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Hi, Summer. Hi, Lady Night. All right. So what is your sun sign then?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius. Okay. Do you know what your other signs are? Like your rising sign?
So my sun and moon are in Sagittarius, and I'm a Virgo rising.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of fire and earth. All right.
Yeah.
And do you think that fits you?
I do. I think that especially when I was younger, I would not have thought that it fit me. And I remember in high school being like, no, I'm not a Sagittarius at all. I don't identify with any of these things. And as I've gotten older, I'm like, wow, you're such a dirty, rotten liar, Ashley. What are you even talking about? So yeah, 100%. I think that those 3 encompass me very vividly.
My daughter is a Sagittarius too. And she's just a little bit younger than you, like 5 years younger.
Aw.
Mm-hmm.
I love music.
So do you have a current favorite tarot card?
So I love the Death card. That is my favorite card of any deck, usually, pretty much. And I love the Temperance card. And I love how misunderstood the Death card is in, circles where it's not really like studied or anything. And I love the idea of like transformation and balance and like finding that, because I feel like I'm constantly evolving and I'm constantly doing that. I'm, always trying to find balance in things, and I'm always trying to find, where can I grow from whatever situation I'm in.
Right on. So, you know what? Mendy, the Artistry of Tarot, just reminded me, yes, there is another card for you. It's the Sun card.
Oh.
So you've got the Magician, you've got the Wheel, and you've got the
So
Sun.
I was right.
Apparently, I can't do math.
Yes.
So.
I'm so glad, though, because I was like, oh, I know this question, but I don't remember. And I'm glad I remembered something.
Thank you, Mendy. She says she's a Sagittarius too. Yeah. Let's hear it for the Sagittarius, right? So, what is your significator card in the tarot? Do you know?
So I looked up significator card, and if I'm correct, it's like a card that you use to represent yourself, right? Or to represent whoever you're reading.
There are other formulas for it too.
Okay.
Different formulas, but
I don't have a card that I've like ever designated or that I've looked up for myself, but my grandmother used to do, cartomancy, I guess is what it is, where you use regular playing deck, which now makes sense after I've, received the Gong Hi Fa Choi board. Before I didn't realize what it was, but and she would always call me a spade when I was younger for my dark hair and dark eyes. So, I mean, if I was going to have some sort of thing, I think that that's what I would go with. But I don't know in traditional tarot what it would be.
Does anyone here know what the spade represents in what suit in tarot? I don't know that because I don't know how to read playing cards. I mean, I know the hearts are the cups. I know that much.
Yeah.
I mean, are the diamonds like the earth and the clubs, maybe the wands, and the spades, the swords? I don't know. But based on like your being a Sagittarius, that would put you probably in the fire, like wands, in the wands group. And have you ever taken your personality test? There's a Myers-Briggs test.
Yes, I love myself some Myers-Briggs. Oh my god, I love personality tests so much. I have an INFJ. So
you're a what? INFJ.
INFJ.
I think that's what I am. INFJ, which would put you at it as a Queen of Cups.
Oh. Emotional village.
Yeah.
All I could think of, and I was like, yeah, girl, you're right. I would not be surprised.
Hi, Mystical Moonflower. Is swords, but not sure. Okay, she says she believes that the spades is swords, but she's not sure.
I got all kinds of things going on.
Exactly. We all do. I mean, we're so complex. You can't just say, hey, what's your sun sign? Like you're going to know.
I know. Oh,
there's way more involved in that, but it's still fun trying to learn all that stuff.
Totally.
So, do you have a current favorite tarot deck that you're working with right now? Or I should say a favorite deck, but not necessarily the one you're working with.
Yeah. So I have the Tattoo Tarot. I think it's called the Eight of Coins Tattoo Tarot. And that's both what I'm currently working with and I think one of my favorites. It's just like she's got very me energy, I think. It's very big sister. It's very, I love you, but you're an idiot, and I'm going to tell you why, but just remember that I still love you. And every time I like read for myself or for someone else and like she roasts them, I'm just like, yes, I understand. That is me every day. So
Somehow.
Yeah.
And I noticed on your link tree that you have something about body art. So
yes.
Is that about like tattoo art and stuff like that?
It is not. It's definitely NSFW sex work stuff. So it started out as like just body positivity stuff, which is what my Instagram kind of encompasses. It's very body positive. It's very like centered on finding intimacy with yourself, but it also links to my other services in the NSFW realm.
Okay. All right. I gotcha. I seen some of the pictures of you on Instagram. I'm thinking, you go, girl. You know?
Yeah. Definitely. I want people to like, you know, learn to like love their body for however it is and not kind of look forward to, oh, when I have this body or, oh, when I had that body. Like, yeah, I'm sure you looked good, but I'm sure you look good now too. So like, it's chill. Love your body now because it's still working for you.
Message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, Vesper. All right. So, are you a collector of tarot decks? And if so, how many decks do you currently own? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I was supposed to count them, but it's like 10 plus now. And it's funny because I didn't start buying tarot decks like actually until, you know, within the past year and a half. And once I started buying them, it was just like candy, man. You just can't take one, you got to get more. And a lot of the ones that I have though, or at least a lot of the recent ones that I have are ones that are done by either artist friends or like people that do art that I follow. And so they're like a lot of indie decks that I'm just really love. And the art is so beautiful. And to be able to like, you know, help an artist out is just like, yes, keep creating, please.
I blame YouTube.
Yes, no, I truly, I am with you. I think that YouTube is definitely to blame.
I did it right. Lady Knight just put in that wands equals clubs, pentacles equals diamonds, cups equals hearts, and swords equals spades. Damn, I'm good. Okay.
You go. Yes. Here for it.
Thank you, honey. So do you currently have a favorite book or artist?
I definitely have a favorite artist. I wrote her name down. Moomy Swan. It's like spelled Moomie Swan. And she is creating a tarot deck now that I'm so excited for. And it's got a lot of, plus size people. It's got a lot of LGBT influences. And I just love that. She's very diverse with coloring as well. And that's something I'm super passionate about, like finding representation. And she's just really doing it. And I'm just like, yes. And she has like BDSM themes in there. And that's something I'm super passionate about. I love
How do you spell her name again, honey?
MOOMIE Swan.
I was trying to see if I can find. Okay, here we go. So that, because now that you're saying that, we're all going to want to see this.
Yeah, yes, please go see it. Yeah, Asteria, BDSM themes. I was so excited to like see that kind of representation in there because I'm looking. I want to find a deck that like connects more to like sexuality and sensuality and just like that realm, like intimacy in general. And I have not found any decks that I really feel have like sparked that interest, and until I found this one. I really love it. I really can't wait for her to finish it.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, I haven't watched it yet. I had watched a short live earlier today. Do you know who Papa Squirrel is?
I know that name is familiar, but I don't think that I actively watch them.
Okay. Well, he was just today, he released a video and that I haven't watched yet, but he said that it is just like a really good deck. And there's, I think, some pretty risque sexual stuff in that deck as well.
I will have to look
So
that
if you get a chance, maybe go check that out. Yeah, he does a walkthrough, I think.
Sweet. I love walkthroughs, man.
Okay, thank you, Lady Knight. I will definitely check that out. Okay, so let's see, where are we at? Do you have a current TV series that you are enjoying?
Yes, listen. I am rewatching True Blood and I'm re-listening to the books. Yes. And I literally this morning, I don't know how my boyfriend deals with me. I don't understand how he could deal with me, but he does. But this morning, or like yesterday night, I'm not allowed. We have like a bedtime, because I have to be up at work early. He's got to be up at work early. We both usually have super late nights. So we're like 12 o'clock. That's your bedtime. Like, stop what you're doing. Go to sleep. So he was starting to sleep and it was before 12 o'clock. I was like, babe, it's not even like 11:30 yet. You need to stop like trying to sleep. I'm here trying to watch True Blood. You need to, because we need to watch it at the same time. And he was like, no, it's fine. You can watch it without me. And I was like, don't say that because I'm going to be here till 3 a.m. because you're going to fall asleep and I'm going to have no accountability for myself. And I'm going to binge watch this. It's going to be 4 a.m. And he was like, no, I have faith in you. Misplaced. Absolutely misplaced, because I am like on episode 7 of season 4 and he's like in season 3 still, and I'm like, I shouldn't. Why did you let me do this? I told you not to go to sleep. And he was just like, why are you so crazy? I don't know, man, but I love me some True Blood. Huh?
Oh my God, I love to binge watch stuff.
Yes, it's so terrible. And now that I'm not working, like, it's so easy to do. And I'm like, oh no, this is so bad. Don't do that.
I need to go back and watch True Blood. That was one of my favorites. I never missed it. Every episode, I never missed it.
Unfortunately,
and I read all the books. They were so good.
Yes, the books. Oh my God. Yes, Astaria knows what's happening. She's like, yes. But
yeah,
I am here for all of the like paranormal romance, urban fantasy, and they're doing a lot of YA stuff now that they're coming out like on Netflix and stuff like that. They're coming out with a couple of my favorite shows, and I'm like, what? We're turning books to shows is my favorite. Like, forget books to movies because that's over and done, and then I'm sad. I want the show. I want to be invested.
Yeah, there's so much more detail. I think a lot of stuff is going more to like your shows now.
Yes.
Like Netflix and your Amazon Prime and
I'm here for it.
Sundance, and you name it, Disney, you name it. Me too. I prefer that myself too.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just better. You like connect better for me anyway, and I like seeing the story drawn out. Like I don't want it to be over in 2 hours. I'm gonna be sad once it's over.
Exactly. I will say though, with True Blood, I was not happy with the way that it ended. I really
Okay, so like I got to I think probably about season 5 when it was happening, and that's about where I've finished. You know, like I did not get to ever finish it. So this is gonna be my first time like fully knowing the ending. I looked up spoilers. I shouldn't have.
Oh
I shouldn't have. I did though, and I do it every time. And I'm like, Ashley, like I get so mad at other people like giving me spoilers, but then my punk ass is going and looking at spoilers, and I'm like, but I just need to know because someone said a thing, and now I'm curious, and my curiosity is the worst, man. It just like puts me in these situations where I'm now I wasn't emotionally ready to know certain things.
That's how it's back now, right?
Yes. There you go.
Okay, so I do have to ask: Are you Team Eric or Bill?
Eric all the way. Who are you even talking to?
Hell yeah! That's what I'm talking about.
Oh my God! Listen. Okay, so we were watching. Jesse's finally catching up, right? And I hope everyone's okay with spoilers at this point.
Oh, honey, I
know, right? But like, I sometimes get like, like, don't tell me it's 20 years old, but don't tell me, But so yeah, we're at the part where he's lost his memory, right? And I love Lost Memory, Eric. Like
that was like my best, the best book. That was like the best book. Oh my God. Yeah.
And we went to the episode, we were at the episode where he's like, it'll make me feel better if you kiss me. And then I was like making a noise. I like made a noise and I was like, what? And Jesse, my boyfriend, he was like, do you need me to leave the room? Like, are you good? I was like, no, it's fine, baby, you can stay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, yep, go, do it. You know you want to.
Yes. Oh my God. Look at me, I'm blushing. Like I will blush for Eric every day. Like it's fine.
Yeah. A Viking at that, right?
Oh yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. Like Bill.
I could talk about that forever. Yeah. Don't even get me started on Bill.
I know. I have so many words. And listen, my cousin, she's very into like Victorian like era romance, right? And so I was like, no, she hates vampires and werewolves. Like she just doesn't give it the time of day. And I'm like, no, you don't give it the time of day for like, there's a whole background with that. But I was like, just watch this series with me. Like you have to watch the series with me. Just watch the first season. If you don't like it, then you don't like it and you don't have to. She's in love with Bill. And I'm like, I knew you were going to fall in love with Bill, but listen, bitch, you're not going to love Bill for very long. And she's like, don't ruin it for me. And I'm like, no, I know. It's fine. You won't. You'll be so mad. So I can't wait. I can't wait for her to be Team Eric. I'm trying to convert her. So we'll see.
What season is she on right now?
Right now, she still has to finish season 1. Like I started season 1 with her, and then here we are, mid-season 4.
It's easy to fall in love with Bill in the first season.
I know, like right in the first season, because you don't know anything. Lies and deception.
Yeah. Great TV series.
Yes, definitely.
So is that the only TV series that you are enjoying right now? Mainly that one?
Yeah, mainly that one. I rewatched Vampire Diaries and I finished it. Like I had never finished it. There's a lot of shows that I've like watched, throughout high school and stuff like that, and then I never finished. But Vampire Diaries was another one, and I was also the Artistry of Tarot said that it was a disappointment the last season. That's how I felt about Vampire Diaries too. I was like, what? Yeah. What are we doing here, guys? Like, come on now. So we'll see.
None of it was ever good. You know what? I lost my interest after like Elena left.
Yeah, like what are we doing? I thought this was Elena's show.
Series. Exactly. But I was definitely Team Damon all the way, not Stefan.
No.
Stefan was too damn tortured, and Damon, he was just like owning it, you know?
Yes.
Like,
I've realized, like, I knew, and my cousin, me and her were talking about this. She was like, you just like the bad boys. And I've realized it's not necessarily like that I like the bad boys, but like, don't torture yourself over shit you can't handle. You know what I'm saying? Like, life is already miserable enough sometimes. You have to just like own it and take accountability, which Damon did not always take accountability, and that's fine. We'll deal with it. But he wasn't like, I'm just going to wallow in my self-pity. Alcide, no, listen, also, I'm here for Alcide. Just saying. I'm here for Alcide.
oh, hell
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
That is one good looking, you know, I'm not even gonna say it, but anyways.
Yes.
Suck a man, brother.
Oh.
But Damon, though, come to find out, he was actually self-sacrificing many times for his brother.
Exactly.
You know, so Elena could be with him. She met him first. She just didn't remember.
Didn't know it, yeah. And I think it's funny because I've realized that like Elena, like I'm not entirely here for her character. Like I think she's very
spoiled.
Yes, very spoiled and entitled, and kind of like, oh well, she like seems self-sacrificing, but she's very selfish a lot of the time. And I'm like, okay, boo, but listen. And I mean, I'm very like poly-focused right now. I'm in a monogamous relationship, but like this is my first monogamous relationship like in my entire life. So, you know, when we have this problem of like, do I love this one or do I love that one? And why am I guilty about loving this other person? Like, no, bitch, love them both and be nice to them both. Like, Jesus. Get them both in bed. Why are we worried?
Yeah. Artistry of Tarot, I keep refreshing because it's behind for you too.
Yeah. Oh.
When Bonnie and Damon became besties. I know. I love Bonnie.
Friendship entirely. Okay, listen. Also, though, Bonnie and oh man, why did his name all of a sudden?
I know who you're talking about.
Lorenzo.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Talk about a real romance. Like, why didn't we get a Bonnie and Lorenzo show? I'm here for it and I'm waiting. I'm waiting desperately for it.
Unrequited love, though. You know, always fighting for that damn love.
For what?
Always fighting for that damn love, though.
Oh my god.
Irritating.
Poor babe. I feel so bad for her.
No doubt. But yeah, she should have had her own show. She was kick ass, man.
Yes.
Definitely. So moving on.
Because we can talk about this all day. Yeah, no, for sure.
Do you have a favorite witch movie or series?
I think witch movies, I think Practical Magic is probably my favorite witch movie. I know that there are probably others. I know that there are others that I love.
The Craft, Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, yes, I do like, but I didn't watch the Craft. I've never seen that yet. It's on my list of things to watch. But Hocus Pocus, I didn't see till this like past Halloween. I'd never seen it as a kid. And I did enjoy it, but I think that I would have loved it if I had watched it when I was a kid. You know, I think that gap in time really just like didn't allow me to like grab onto the love for it. But definitely Practical Magic, which I did see when I was a kid. And oh man, I always feel like I'm stuck between two characters. So like both of the sisters, I feel like I like am both of them and just into one body. Yeah, I've never seen The Craft. Lady Night, I know it's the worst. I'm sorry, I'm a terrible witch.
Shame on you.
I know.
Now, also, what about Sabrina, The New Adventures of Sabrina?
Yes, like okay, I was a big teenage witch Sabrina. Like that was, you know, one of the only shows that I watched growing up. And I love the dark Archie aesthetic. I love the dark aesthetic of anything. Like you can pretty much hook me.
Riverdale, you mean? You like that too?
I have not seen Riverdale, but I do, again, like I like the cinematography of it. And I did read Archie when I was a kid. Like that was like one of my favorite, treats. And I never read the comics for Sabrina Spellman, but I do love the Netflix version. I know that a lot of people have a lot of things to say about it, but I have really nothing bad to say about it. I really enjoy it. I just love it for what it is.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. And, there was, I can't remember where we were talking about this, but it was like, the pagan stuff, how they brought in the pagans and all that.
Yeah.
I didn't really care the way that they depicted it. Yes, I think that they could have like teamed up together instead of being like enemies of each other. But at the same time, it was entertaining. It was supposed to be
and that's really how I look at things, like, and this is a huge thing in like the NSFW world, right? Like, do we want porn to be the education for kids? Do we want, movies and TV shows to be the education for like our spiritual practice? So we really kind of have to take it as it is. It's for entertainment value. And that's just, it is what it is. Bye, Summer.
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good.
Summer. Have a good night, honey. I'm sitting there trying to go bye, Summer, and not be loud because I didn't want to be rude with the typing.
No, you're fine.
Oh man, the struggles of going live,
Yes, I see. This is why I don't go live though. Like I can't focus on multiple things, and then I'm like, what's happening? I'm sorry. I'm missing you guys.
So, do you have a favorite season of the year?
Yes, definitely autumn. I, as we can all probably see, have red cheeks, and like I have red cheeks naturally, and then I blush a lot. So, I mean, I just have a very ruddy complexion, and I've become okay with that now. Like, it's not my favorite thing about myself, but it is what it is. And, in the summer, and I live in Florida, so like perpetual summer all year long, right? But once autumn starts like kicking in, I can, my hair curls different, like my skin changes a little bit. I'm not as red, I'm not hot. I get like grumpy if I'm too hot. So I really enjoy summer because I used to enjoy the cold, but I've grown into one of those people who's like, oh my God, it's so, like, I have a blanket with me now. Like, don't let me get cold, because then I'm just like.
And what temperature is it in there?
Dude,
like
it's probably
like that?
9, maybe. So, I just can't get too hot. I can't do cold. I gotta be just right. And autumn is just right. And autumn it's season. So like, who doesn't love that?
And I love your complexion, by the way. And I love that you blush. I think that's so cute. My daughter's the same way. Being a Sagittarius, it's that fire.
Yeah, it's that fire underneath.
Yeah. Exactly. So do you have a stronger connection to a certain element, do you feel like?
I feel like it's so funny because if you look at my birth chart is just full of Sagittarius. Literally, there's like too much. Why? But Earth, like as an element, I particularly like, I love the earth. I love gardening. I love sitting in the grass. I love trees. Today on my lunch break, I went to my house and I got on my hammock, and it's cold enough that I had my blanket, and I just like cuddled up and I looked out at the trees in my yard, and I just listened to my audiobook, and I was like, this is what you're going to do for an hour. And I loved it. I love being out just near nature. So earth is definitely my element that I gravitate towards.
Awesome. And you said you're also a Virgo, right?
Yeah, Virgo rising.
There's your earth too.
Yeah.
So, do you work with crystals? And if so, do you have a favorite?
I do work with crystals. I am a huge user of Amethyst and Tiger's Eye. Those are the two that I think that I gravitate towards the most, and hematite. I really love onyx, although I think I own just like a little bit, like a little thing of onyx, and I want to get like a crystal ball, like an onyx crystal ball. And that's like my goal, my witchy goal for like in sometime in the future. That's what I really would like, is onyx.
Do you have like a size in mind? I mean, like this or like this?
I'm extra, so I'm totally here for like, at least that.
I
Like,
gotta do it right.
I totally understand how like my bank account. Like I was looking at some and I was, girl, okay, this is a long-term investment. You don't have to wait. But yeah.
Gotta go for it though. Yeah.
Yes.
That's really cool. I want one too.
I know. They look so pretty.
I want some skulls too. I don't have any skulls.
Oh, skulls would be so nice. There's like a place near me that has little skull carvings. So I think I will have to send you one. I want to do that.
Ooh,
yes.
Yes.
Little scully boy.
I don't have any yet.
Yes. Oh, skulls are nice.
I've like been coveting all different ones, thinking about it for like a year. But can I? No, I can't. I know. It's terrible. But then I usually end up going like this.
Yeah.
Like that instead, right? Yeah. So it's not that I couldn't have, I just chose the tarot instead.
Yeah, no, I feel that though. I feel that.
So do you have any daily rituals that you do?
Listen. I have depression. So like any kind of ritual that I can think of is like I barely can make it to brushing my teeth and washing my face every day. So that is, I try to make things like that kind of magical. Like I really try to be like, okay, well, you know what? If you do this, you're taking care of your body and you're doing this little, like the earth. I use tea tree stuff. So I'm like, this is your earth and then your water. And then I'll like go like that, air dry. I'm like, you got it, bitch. If you can just do these like 2 things in your life today, you're golden. So yeah, that's about it. And I like my water. Like I'll try to drink this whole thing if I can. And those are my rituals. Those
are good rituals to have.
Yeah.
You don't drink coffee or tea or anything like that?
I drink tea, but I don't drink it regularly at all. Coffee has just entirely too much caffeine, unfortunately for me. So, I just no particular one thing that I do.
I got you. Hi, Mystical Melissa.
Yeah.
It's actually supposed to be Ashley, just so you know.
I know. I'm sorry. It's so funny because I kept messing up on the Michele spelling and I kept correcting it and I was like, why is this a problem? And I did not even look at the Ashley. I like looked at it, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Next thing.
Just one of those damn days, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Let me put it over here. Every time I try putting it in my other chat, it's not letting me for some reason in the StreamYard. No. Typical. That's live for you.
Especially with
what's that, honey?
Especially with technology.
You know it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So do you have a special skill or hobby that you would like to discuss?
My only hobbies are like, the body positive art and stuff like that. I'm trying to get back into writing, which has been a terribly frustrating venture because I'm not able to like make very consistent strides in like, oh, I'm gonna get up at 6:30 or I'm gonna get up at whatever time and I'm gonna write for like 20 minutes, you know, like I just can't make consistency. And that's something that I'm like trying to work on. But, you know, I'm back in school now. So like it's kind of got pushed to the back burner again. And then every time I go to sit and write, it's like there is a blockage. And I'm just like, why are you here? Please leave me alone. And then YouTube, of course, is like a hobby for me. And that's pretty much about it. Like, I don't know if you've seen Coffee Table Coven, but you know, I work on that a lot, and I try to like promote that a lot and make sure that that's taking up more of my time. And
so what exactly is that then? That's like a Facebook coven, or how's that work?
Coffee Table Coven is an online magazine. It used to be monthly. We just changed it for this year to be seasonally for everyone involved because it was just easier that way. And it's a free online magazine, and we want it to basically just be representative of, you know, everyday people. And it's so beautiful. Like Julie, my partner, she is the one who puts it together. So like I'll go and I'll get all of the articles and stuff like that, and then she puts together these beautiful, amazing spreads and layouts that are just absolutely gorgeous. And yeah, so it's a magazine. It's an online magazine.
And we can get that off of your link tree also, right?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Hi, Johnny. And will you tell Salem I said hi? Give him a good pet for me. Beautiful kitty cat.
Oh, kitties, yes. Give all the pets to the kitties.
So what would you say is your favorite holiday or Sabbath?
Mabon has like this super cute, like Mabon was the first Sabbath that I ever like celebrated. And so it has this like special little divot in my heart, and I love it so much. And I don't really ever do much for it, but it comes at the perfect time of year, and it is perfect, and like the aesthetic isn't too dark, but it's not too light, and it's very, I feel like, representative of me. So Mabon is definitely
very, very fall. Yes.
Yeah.
So would you say, as far as tarot goes, has your reading style changed since you started doing tarot? And how long have you been doing tarot?
So actually, interestingly enough, my grandmother, the one who does the cartomancy, right? She, I guess, was teaching me cartomancy when I was younger, and I did not know, because like in high school, the way that I would help myself come up with plot lines is I carried a deck of cards around, and then I would shuffle them when I was walking to and from the bus, and when I would pull for my stories, and I didn't necessarily realize that I was doing anything. And so now, like, I think I like to think of that as like my first reading style, right? So like just pulling things and kind of intuitively like feeling from it. And I don't think that it's changed very much. I think that when I started reading traditional tarot, I was very big on, oh, I have to have like a spread and I have to know what each card is designated towards. But I like trying to fit into that was just very hard and cumbersome. And I just was not, it was very stifled for me. And I know that spreads can be really good, you know, especially for people who just like want focus and stuff like that. But I guess it's just not how my brain was like registering it, and it didn't work that way. And so now I've noticed that I do 4, 8, 12, 16. I do like spreads of like 16 cards. That's like my basic thing. So whenever I read, I do like sets of 4 down. And when I shuffle, I just shuffle. And I think that if anything has changed, my cues have kind of changed. So like now I know that like certain feelings in my hands and in my body, like that's when I'm supposed to stop shuffling, and that's when I start laying out cards. And I guess now I just like, I more intuitively know like, okay, now it's shifting courses like within the spread. I'm like, okay, I know what this is talking about, but I don't, I think it's always been very intuitively drawn is the only way that I've ever been able to really successfully read tarot.
Gotcha. So you've got like 16 cards that are just telling you this story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this card's supposed to mean this. It's just whatever it means to you when you're reading it, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. So, do you remember your dreams?
I don't remember my dreams most of the time. And I have a lot of nightmares. So I don't know. Like I had a couple of theories recently as to like why that was or whatever, but most of the time when I do remember my dreams, they're nightmares. And they're not necessarily like, you know, pee your pants nightmares. They're kind of just like, oh, I know that was a nightmare. And oh yes, that was very scary. But like I feel a little bit weirdly like disconnected from it. And that's, you know, that's about them. I'll remember shifts sometimes. I'll remember certain scenes, but that's about it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there a time period other than now that you feel drawn to? You know, like the 30s or like ancient Egypt or anything like that?
Definitely as far back as we can get. Like I always, when I think of, you know, time periods that I'm drawn to, it's very like what I would assume ancient Greece and like up, you know, very, very primitive, very old. And it's like kind of a timeless time. You can't really tell, you know, what time period is based off of what's around you. There's not really technology in the way that we see it. And it's very like quiet in terms of outside noise. If that makes
So
sense.
probably at a time when the earth was not highly populated.
Yeah.
Were they nomads or were there actual settlements?
There are settlements, but they're like cities that you like go to and you don't necessarily live in. Like, oh, I have to go to the city to go get these things, and then I will come back to my space that's very outer skirts, out of the way.
Was it like placed in like the woods, you know, in a forest area? Or
Sometimes, most of the time it's very foresty. Other times it's very cream colored. So I don't necessarily, I assume sandy, but I can't necessarily say yes or no to it.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. Do you think that maybe is like some sort of past life? Is that what you feel like?
I've thought about that a lot. And I'm not necessarily sure. I think sometimes I get these weird feelings when I'm like in the woods and stuff like that. And I'm like, yes, I've been here before. And I feel like those are probably past life things. But I'm not necessarily sure about the sandy colored thing. I just like, that one is just something that like I feel, if that makes sense.
Did you feel the water around it as well, or no, just sandy? Like
water in certain parts, like on one side, but not like all around.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. So maybe you lived by the ocean or something, you know, but like in a sandy area.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, were you raised in your path or did you veer off from your family?
Definitely veered off from my family. Like I said, I was raised in a Muslim household, and my mom converted when I was in second grade, and when she married my stepdad. And so I grew up. I didn't grow up very religious, even though my mother was very religious. And my dad is very born again Christian, and that whole side of the family is very born again Christian. And so there was a lot of fighting on my dad's side about like my religious path and like my religious views, because at the time, you know, my mom's a very young spirit. So, you know, she had me when she was about 17. And at the time, like she's been Christian, she's been Catholic, she grew up Catholic, she converted to Christianity. She's tried, you know, Wicca and pagan-based religions, and she finally kind of settled down in Islam. That's where she feels like her heart is. But she was very much a supporter of me figuring that out myself. And she was kind of like, would you like to come do this thing with me? Would you like, you know, if we had to go to mosque, I had to go to mosque, but like, I didn't have to participate if I didn't want to. It was very open-ended. If you would like to join me, come join me. And so, you know, my dad was not very happy with that. But my mom was very, you know, she herself held a lot of what I guess I would consider pagan like beliefs and roots already. Like they were just ingrained into her as a child, even though my family was Catholic, like growing up for her. But they were very like, respect the earth, you know, pay homage to it almost like a lot with when you're going outside, when you're doing things, you just like, you don't forget that the earth is not yours. And so I guess my religious upbringing has always been very mixed and very confusing, because I was kind of just given the reins and told, okay, well, go figure that out, sweetie, have fun. So I want to say like it's veered off, but at the same time, you know, did it ever actually veer off anywhere? Because I was never like directed in any one way, you know.
You're still on that journey kind of thing. Yeah. And it's just been a journey. It didn't really start off like strong in any one
anything,
one direction. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So does your father support you now in your choices, or no?
No.
It sounds like your mom does, but
my mom does. She, you know, in high school and early in college, she wouldn't allow tarot cards in the house when I was, you know, younger and stuff like that. My grandmother tried to get me my first tarot deck when I was like 15, I think. Because I know, go grandma. She is so funny, man. She is super supportive. And she will go to, you know, Catholic church, mass, like she'll go to mass, but right before, 30 minutes before, you know, she's read her cards. Like, that's her ritual, you know. Her and my great aunt are very much like that. And it stems, you know, from that side. They were very witchy, and I did not realize until I was younger, or until I was older. But my dad and like that whole side of the family, they're very Hispanic, very born again Christian Hispanic. And it's weird because they'll look at Catholicism and they'll be like, witchcraft, y'all are witches, stop.
There is a lot of witchcraft.
And there is, you know, and I will give them that, but it's so funny because it's like they haven't broken away from those rituals and that ritualistic, like centric kind of practice. They've just changed the name of it, you know?
Right.
And my dad and my aunt recently, she actually had a conversation with me. Recently her son died, and I am one of the kids that she like kind of helped raise when I was up there and stuff like that. So she feels like she has an obligation to me to like save my soul. And so, yes. And I love her. I love you, Thea, so much, but like, chill. And so she found my YouTube, apparently. And she was like, yes. And I knew this was coming because my cousin, her daughter, the one who I talk about a lot, she was like, yeah, so I think that my mom and your dad know that you're like doing witchcraft. And I was just like, okay, well, neither one of them have said anything to me, and my dad does not have any ground to stand on in any kind of parental capacity. So he can chill out. Like, I love him and I am totally here to hear his opinions, but if
I
they're
mean,
not
you're an adult.
respectful, yeah. And so my aunt has sat me down after like some funeral stuff, like a time and place. Thea, what are you doing? But she sat me down and she was like, I just want to let you know that I still love you and that I'm praying for you and blah 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 blah. And I was like, okay, thanks. So that's what's going on there. That is the long story short of that, unfortunately.
Yep. I am a Christian. I'm a Christian witch.
Yeah.
So, it was my own choice to be a Christian, really. I mean, my family's Christian, but all the things that I did, they were my choices. They were not anything that was ever pushed on me.
And I don't think, and this is the thing, I don't think that like religion, like witchcraft and religion are like have to be exclusive at all. You know what I'm saying?
I don't either.
And so, and my aunt, she's one of those people who everything is opening doors. And yes, like I agree with her to an extent. But she is like, you know, you're watching Twilight. This has been going on my whole entire life. When I was watching Twilight, she was like, you're opening doors, you're going to go to hell. I remember having this conversation when I was like 7 and I was trying to explain Islam to my family. I remember having this conversation when I was 12 and my parents were like worried about my gay friends, you know, like my parents, but I mean them, that side of the family. And so it's like, I love her so much. And then, you know, she now is like gardening, and you know, before, if I'd have told her like, oh Thea, like if you grow this herb and this herb, you know, those things will be really good for you. If I'd have told her that 10 years ago, she'd have been like, no, we can't talk about this, stop. But now she's bringing those things out. She's like, oh, did you know that this herb works for this? And like whatever. And I'm like, yeah, Thea, I know that. And like, those herbs. So why are you having a problem with what I'm doing?
And it's just because people don't understand. In the Christian religion, there is so much fear mongering that goes on.
There is, yeah.
You know, and dogma and judgment, but they do it under the guise of, I'm just concerned for your soul. Okay. Yeah. Why don't you worry about your soul and I'll worry about mine.
Like you talk to God and I'll talk to God and we can all just like live our lives. Yes. Yep. And that's kind of how you know, my mom, she, you know, obviously she had no qualms about like how I lived my religious life, right? But my mom, when I was really young, the way that she had explained it to me when she was converting, because I know that I came home with a lot of questions, and I was one of those kids that like I was like a small adult. I knew what was happening, but like I would still ask these very like off questions. So she had explained to me that we are all on a mountain, and that, you know, Christianity is on one trail up the mountain, Islam is on another trail up the mountain, and everyone, like some people are finding offshoots of trails and some people are like going this way, but everyone's just trying to get to the top of the mountain. And if you can respect that everyone,
it all leads you to the same spot.
It all leads you to the same spot. And she was like, you know, it doesn't matter how you do it as long as you get to the top, and that's all you need to worry about. And so, you know, that has always stuck with me. That has always been the way that I kind of like, conduct my life and my like in like my perspective of like religion and spirituality. As long as you're just trying to get to the top of the mountain, my dude, get to the top of the mountain. However you got to do it. Like,
yeah, it's just wise words, really.
Yeah,
I like that. I've never seen it like that, but I like that analogy.
Yeah, totally feel free to use it. I love using that for a lot of things, but like it works so well for spirituality because we are so different when we come to, even if you're like, you're a Christian, my aunt's a Christian, my cousin's a Christian, even in the same religion, like there are so many ways for you to express your religion. And it's just like, allow people to express it. However
There's tons of branches of Christianity.
Exactly.
There's different kinds of witches. It's just,
Exactly.
yeah. So if you could have a deep conversation with any one person during any time in history, who would it be and why?
So it would totally be my pops. And
You mean your grandpa?
yeah,
When you say
my
pops?
grandpa.
Okay.
Yeah. So the witchy grandma's husband. Oh man, I love him so much. He died when I was about in middle school, like end of the elementary school, early middle school. And we didn't have a lot of time for deep conversation at that point in my life, right? But he had apparently lived very much like me in terms of like spirituality and stuff like that. Or at least in my early stages of how I expressed my spirituality. And so I would just like love to sit and talk with him about religion, about politics. Oh man, I wish everyone could have met my pops. My pops was great. I love him. So I would definitely want to talk to him.
That's so sweet. I mean, gosh, you can have such great conversations and hear such wonderful stories from people that have lived before,
Yes. Yes.
I mean, my husband's dad, that's the kind of stuff I'd love to do. I mean, seriously, my husband's dad, he's gone now, but he would sit and I would ask him questions because I mean, especially guys, I think a lot of times you have to like pull it out of them because they're not just like naturally just, I mean, and I guess that's just stereotyping, but the ones that I have met are not just like the women that I met where they just like pour out all kinds of stuff to you. They're not like the storytellers, right? But if you ask them questions, he had some awesome damn stories of when he was growing up during like the Depression. And I mean, amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
for sure. My pops was a crime scene investigator, and there are so many like small things that interest me. Like he did not graduate from high school. He had dropped out in like 9th grade from school because he had to like go work on the farm that his parents, had. And, I don't know how he did it. I guess he went when he was adult and, he became a policeman first and then worked his way up. And then he decided to be a crime scene technician because that was like the way that, that was where he wanted to go. But he was the type of person, like he could look at a crime scene and he got so much information from it just by like looking around, just by being very silent and like taking things in. And he did lectures, he did classes all around the world. There were like a lot of cases that people were like, please come to our area and like do this. But if it was outside the US, he wouldn't because he did not like flying. Apparently he did not trust planes. And there are just so many things that I would love to ask him and to see, specifically spiritually, because my grandmother says that I'm very much like him in that, like, when I walk into a room, I kind of assess things. And like, I just naturally have always done that. But she said that as a kid, that me and him would walk into the room the same way. And she could tell that we were both like assessing things, and she was like,
just scanning the room, right?
Yes. And she was like, he would just kind of feel the air and he would know things. And so I'm just like, Pops, I want to talk to you. Please help me. It would be really cool to talk to him and to really get to know him on like, because I feel like no one really knew him. Like they knew parts of him, but no one really like knew him.
I'm sure there was a lot that doing that type of job that he was not even allowed to reveal to people. Yeah. Oh, imagine the stuff that he held on to.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So if you could go to any event in history, what would it be and why?
I could not think of an event that like I wanted to see. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine narrowing it down to one like happening in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just couldn't.
So, like the Big Bang, knowing whether or not what happened our creation, or like
You
how the
know,
pyramids were actually built, or how people actually lived on the frontier, or any kind of like event like that.
okay, no, I know what I would want to know. So my grandfather, my great grandfather, I guess, was a curandero. So he was like a medicine man in Mexico. And it's funny that my family is very like blocked off from any kind of like natural remedy type things, right? But I know for a fact that something happened in between his generation and the generation preceding that to make that divide happen, because we
Oh,
moved as a family from Mexico to down to like the edge of Texas. And so that's where, my grandparents, I think, are from Mexico, but they were on the border of like Mexico and Texas. And they have slowly moved out of Mexico generation wise. And so I want to know when that split happened and why, because 100%, me, I know he was a curandero, and like herbs, medicine, like earth medicine and spirits were his like specialties, right?
wow.
And me as a kid, I used to garden with my grandmother, and she used to say I had the Garcia green thumb, because everyone in our family works in landscaping, works in, some sort of like ground type thing. And you know, she used to just have me talk to the plants. She'd be like, you have to plant it, you have to this, go talk to them, go whatever. And that was like my job when I was like a real little kid. And I was still living with them and stuff like that. And I've, come to, as an adult, realize that I have like this affinity for plants, and
That's
I
really
have
cool.
like a sensitivity to energy, be it like whether it's ghosts or not. Like I don't know, but I can like feel things, and I know things are there when they're like I can't see them. And so
Right.
we have that as like a hereditary trait that has seems to be happening in our family, but no one will talk about it. And everyone's like, very much like my dad, like if I came to him and said, Dad, by the way, I'm a witch, like I present myself as a witch, like he'd probably die, like he'd probably have a heart attack. And so like I just try not to like to get
Cause
into
him any
it.
more stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but he knows, like he knows, I know he's not stupid, and he'll look at me and he'll be like, okay, like he'll
Do you
just
think
stop.
that there's a part of him that's like, because you're still young, being
Mhm.
26, do you think that there's a part of him that's just saying, yeah, I'm thinking she's going to grow out of this phase. It's just a phase she's going through. Do you think that that's maybe it?
I
Do you think he's
don't
hoping maybe that's what it
I
is?
think he's hoping that that's what it is, but I also like we'll have conversations. We talked about Sabrina. You know what I'm saying? Like he asked my boyfriend one time, and I try to stay away from like my dad very often, because he's just too perceptive, and he's very much like me in that he'll pick things up without you putting them down. And so I just try to stay out of his force field. But
Yeah.
like we were at his house, and he was like, oh, blah, 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 Netflix. And then Jesse was like, oh, yeah, we're watching Sabrina. And I was like, fuck, no, don't tell him that. Don't say that. And I was just in my head, I was like, no, no, we're going to have it. And he was like, oh, really? Ashley, let's talk about
Yeah.
XYZ. And, he didn't say anything outright, but he was just like, in your heart what you need to do and what's right and what you need to stay away from, and know your enemies and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, man, you had to open the can of worms, Jesse. I love you. But like, he's not used to having to censor things. So
Yeah.
he's just like, bloop. And I was like, no, don't do that. Don't say anything.
Yeah. And you know
So
what, Sabrina, that's probably not the best
the
one. If
best,
people
I know.
really think that that is what witchcraft is all about,
Mhm. And the thing is like I think he knows. Like, he knows him and my aunt, like, they know what our family was doing beforehand. You know, they know, and I don't think that they necessarily think like, oh, this is like what witchcraft is. Like, they just like, they know that it wasn't bad, I think, but I think that there was something that happened that someone in our family did, and they did it like in the name of something, or I don't even know. But something happened to cause this disconnect where it's like we can't even talk about this without like everyone freaking out. And I just want to know what that thing was. Cause like he'll look
Yeah.
at me and like he sees my tattoos and he'll just like he'll look at them and you know what I'm saying? You know that he's thinking a thing, and I'm like, I'm not opening myself up to whatever it is you're about to say. I'm gonna walk away now because I know that you have shit that you want to say, but he won't say it. He just kind of looks at me and he like directs the energy of disapproval.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're on the last question.
Mhm.
What do you wish to gain from your channel going forward?
Definitely. And I think that I talk about this a lot on my channel, but just like community and like being able to talk to people and, you know, hear other people and see the way that they do things, and just kind of having some sort of camaraderie really is important to me. Like, tell me about y'all's day. Like, what did you do? How are you doing this thing? Like, I don't necessarily like small talk. Like, I like the deeper talks, but I do just like hearing about people's experiences and like talking about my own experiences and kind of giving people like, it's okay to be X, Y, and Z, or it's okay for this, you know? So,
Right
yeah.
on. So is it okay if I open it up if anybody has any questions for you?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, guys. Does anybody have any questions for Ashley before we close this out? And that's pretty much how I feel also,
Mhm.
is about really just there's nobody in my life other than my sister who's so busy all the time, and she's not quite there like with the witchcraft and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the paranormal stuff and all that,
Mhm.
yeah, we've always had that, and spirituality, we've always talked about that. But it is so nice to have people that you can talk to that don't look at you like, she's crazy.
Yes, for
Or she's
sure.
living in a fantasy land.
Yeah, my sister's very much like that too. Like we love, you know, watching scary movies. We love talking about paranormal things. And she, you know, she's very, man, it's so interesting to like see her journey because she has grown up, you know, in a Christian household. She's grown up going to private Christian school like all her life, and I, you know, like the kid that was evicted all the time, you know, like that was me. I like, went to a public school, like people were fighting, people were having sex in the parking lot, like
Oh my gosh.
you know, I lived in Miami, like and so she has never seen that. Like she's lived within 2 small towns in her entire life. And we don't even have a Walmart in our town. Like you have to drive to the next city to get to a Walmart or a
So is
Publix.
she your half sister?
She is. Yeah, she's my half
Yeah.
sister. And, you know, so our upbringings have been so different. And she, you know, especially when you go to a private school, like you grow up with a certain mentality, like you don't necessarily see the rest of what other people are seeing. And you know, now that she is an adult, she's, you know, she just turned 21. She's like, she's starting to see things differently and she's starting to shift. And, you know, I remember her coming to me. It was after September 11th, right? And she came to me because her school was talking about it. And she was like, I'm afraid for your soul because you're trying to be Muslim and Christian at the same time. And she was, you know, she was in like elementary school, right? So I was like, "Oh, what are you what are you talking about right now, child? Please enlighten me on what you think
Little
is
kids
going
should not
on."
have to worry about stuff like that at that age.
Yeah, you know, and I'm just like, my dude, please, it's okay. Like, if you want to ask me questions, ask me questions. But first off, don't automatically assume. And, it's been my entire life has been defending my own personal choices to my close family, right? And it's not necessarily that I like defend them, because at this point I think it's kind of just been me trying to explain, which I guess is defending, right? But I've always tried to do it in like a non-defensive way, because like I know that my sister, in her space doesn't have a lot of diversity, and that's totally fine. Like I'm here to be that diverse friend, that diverse aunt. Like, let me open your world to new things.
People are just so afraid. That's what it is. It's the fear.
Yes, 100%. And so now that she's living not necessarily by herself, she like lives in an apartment behind like my her parents like built this shed into an apartment, and it looks beautiful, looks great, but like she lives in that, and she doesn't pay rent, she doesn't have like a steady job. She like works in some of the shops that are in town under the table for some cash, and she's starting to just like see what being an adult is. She's getting like the taste of it, like, oh, I can't go to Burger King and charge it on my mom's credit card because what? No, I can't.
I'm an adult now.
I'm an adult.
Exactly.
And so like, I asked her the other day, I was like, hey, do you want to go to, it was Burger King. I was like, hey, because that's the only thing we have in town. I was like, do you want to go to Burger King for lunch? And I have like coupons and stuff, like we can go. And she was like, let me check my account and blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, who are you? And what have you done? Because you're hilarious.
Yeah.
And it's funny to see, her transition spiritually. And, she has her own like spiritual gifts, and they were commended in the church. They were like, this is what this is called, and this is what you're doing, and it's a gift from God. But like anything that I've ever experienced and felt was very like frowned upon, and devil worship, and this, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the difference between what you're doing and what I'm doing?
In the Bible,
like
the Bible books were actually written by many times prophets, right? Which were people that predicted the future, right? Hello. But a psychic and all that, oh my God, no, dude, that's wrong, that's the sinful there, that's okay, hello, make up your mind, contradiction here, what is it? They get confused, that's the thing. Not all of them. I don't want to say it like a blanket term.
No, it's definitely not a blanket term, but it's definitely the predominant like view in, middle class America type thing. That's like what I can speak from, and that's what I, see. And I am right now actually taking a class on Genesis, the book of Genesis, and we're going through like the book of Enoch, and that's my dad's one of those kind of deep divers. He'll go and he'll deep dive into spiritual things, and this is like the first time that we've ever been able to like talk about these kinds of things without him like preaching to me, because our family also, if I didn't mention it, are all preachers. So yeah, so but like yeah,
I was going to say, the Marielle Tarot, the magician was originally Enoch, who, when he was taken up to the heavens early by God, because he found such favor in God, that he took him up early. Because in those days, if you remember, people lived to be around 1,000 years old, roughly.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think 500 or 600 years old. Okay. Well, when he went up and he seen the glory of God, then he was turned into Metatron, the angel Metatron, who is now also depicted or associated with the magician in the tarot.
That like connects a couple of dots for me right now, like with other like spiritual friends, like because I've heard Enoch and I've heard Megatron. I've not like heard them together, but I've like seen the like parallels, and I was like, oh, that's so funny, because I know me and Drew had talked about like Megatron. She had talked about Megatron before. That's so funny. It's It's funny because I had never read the Bible cover to cover. Ooh, what is that?
That's Metatron's cube.
Okay. So we should
Sacred
definitely
geometry.
have like some Bible talks because I'm totally here for that. Like on another later date.
Yeah. We should cut this short though, honey. We're going on an hour and a half.
Yeah, no, another time, definitely.
It's interesting. A number of
very interesting.
the apocryphal texts are. You can get the Nag Hammadi texts in one volume. There's also the Book of Giants that goes with the Book of Enoch. I didn't know Enoch was Metatron. I thought Enoch was still himself and still technically a living person, still alive, but in heaven. Well, according to what I read out of the Mariel Tarot, it is associated that when he went up into heaven and he seen the full glory of God, he was transformed into the only angel or being ever that was to see the full glory of God, and it changed him into Metatron.
Very interesting.
Yes. Who was also associated with the magician, which I find very, very interesting.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Book of Giants. You can. So, have you read the Dead Sea Scrolls?
I have not. I do want to take that class next semester, though, because we have one, and I would like to.
Very interesting. That's stuff that we have talked about in my family for years and years and years. But I also studied with the witnesses when I was younger. Like in my early 30s, I studied with the witnesses for a couple of years. Not that I believe everything, but let me tell you, they know their Bible. And that's what they always did was study, study, study. I mean, all the time. It was always study. They had tons of books that you could get and different Bibles, but their version was actually translated directly from the Hebrew and Aramaic instead of into Latin and then into English. So there can be a loss of translation depending on what Bible version you're reading as well.
And I'm definitely seeing that, like with everything that we're reading.
Right. Yeah, but yes, I can see that. Yeah. I didn't know that either. I mean, I just learned that from the Mariel Tarot, and I thought, oh my gosh, that is so interesting. I mean, this stuff is like right up my alley, you know? Just like having a conversation with somebody that is a huge Christian and then says, no, I don't believe in aliens. Okay, well, what the hell are angels then? You believe in angels, right? You believe in God. God's not a human being. What the hell is he if you don't believe in, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you need to get out of that little square box that you're in and think beyond.
Yeah, and I think people take a lot of like wording and like terminology very like
too literal.
Too literal. Yeah, like you have to like expand what that means to someone.
Yes. And I definitely believe in aliens. So
yeah. I definitely don't discount aliens. Like, I mean, what is an alien but someone that's not like human?
Born of Earth.
Yeah.
Right. They can still be humanoid. They're just not born of Earth.
For sure. That's what I meant.
So this has been so much fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
It was my pleasure, definitely. Very much enjoyed this whole conversation. And you know, later on down the road, because I have already said I'm going to be doing other ones later on down the road, like maybe 6 months later, catching up again. If you're interested, I would love to do it again. See where you're at.
Definitely. And I'm always on Facebook. Feel free to message me. So
sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope everyone has a great night. And thank you so much. And I'm sending everyone love and light.
Yeah.
Hang on, sweetie.